Scotia, it is the Anfield Wrap, it is Friday night, and it is Friday night, and we're with the good people at Erdinger. And I want to be crystal clear, this is not so much the case for the defence as the case for the fuck off. We're going to start this off talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold and England. Damian, Kavanagh. Genuinely, I'm 43, you're older than me, we'll respect your modesty around that. I feel like I've had a lifetime of watching Liverpool players be misused by England managers, and then a lifetime of watching people from the rest of England lambast and scapegoat Liverpool players, and at times England managers get involved in it as well. Trent Alexander-Arnold, in many ways, might be as talented as John Barnes. In many ways, in this instance, he feels like he is just the new John Barnes, and everyone can fuck off.
Yeah, he can. He's marvellous, isn't he? He's a generational talent, and we get the best from him, and England try to do different things with him, and
which is their prerogative.
Yeah, that sounds, of course it is, you know, but it just shows you there's something under the surface that if there's ever a chance for England to get into us, whichever way it is, whether it's a Liverpool player or whatever it is, then they're the easy scapegoats. I feel that, you know, with players like, you know, he's talking about John Barnes himself. John Barnes tore the whole league up.
Yep. Couldn't
reproduce it for England. He's getting moved, you know, not tactically in the right place and whatever. And it just doesn't bother me. I mean, you're talking to someone who was Father's Day on the first game, so I kind of drunk in the second half watching it, boycotted the one yesterday, no intention of watching the next one. So I haven't got a great deal of analysis for you.
I'm asking for it.
But what I can say is that he's quite clearly a boss player. And if tactically, for example, I think this is what they do wrong sometimes. I think England's getting... historically was always like, what's the 11 names and how do we fit them onto the pitch, rather than this is the team, this is the structure, this is the plan. And so if they're making a tactical decision, they say, for example, Walker's a better right back in this system for A, B and C in this game and whatever, then they should just play him and put the other fella on the bench. But they don't. I think part of the niceness, for want of a better word, about Southgate is he'll try and be accommodating of the guy, but he's throwing him straight under the bus.
That's
in the interviews I'm seeing. And he's playing them. And he had this thing about experiment in a major tournament final. What's the friendlies for? You know, so I just think it started off on a very tentative footing, and it's got worse. And as long as our players come back quick, not too demoralised and not injured, sound.
Well, it's the demoralised bit I worry about. It's a different game. It's a different game even to when Barnes was ripping up the league, as Damian says. You know, he was the best player in that league for 3 or 4 seasons by a distance, and it didn't happen for him, but there wasn't as much scrutiny as there is now. There was the papers, and the papers were intense, don't get me wrong, Shaun, but it wasn't the same, it wasn't constant. I mean, one of the things that drives me mad about all the Euros coverage is that constantly someone's asking you what's the mood like in the England camp. I do not give a fuck what the mood's like in the England camp while Slovakia are playing Ukraine or Slovenia, whichever one it was. I'm not even that bothered by that either, but I've never in my life pondered to myself, I wonder what the mood's like in the England camp right now. But allowing for that, I just feel what I worry about is this stuff does get in footballers' heads if you're not careful. And I love this footballer. I think he's incredible. He comes from literally by where we live. I genuinely think he's not one of the really good players who comes by where we live, and there's loads of them. He's one of the greatest players ever to come by where we live. And the extent to which I want to absolutely burn the world down for him is hard to put into words at this point.
Yeah, no, and the scapegoat thing is the right thing to sort of call out, because I feel like Southgate's put him in that position. Southgate has called him in every squad for probably the last 12 months a midfielder. He's named him a midfielder.
It's on the graphic and everything.
It's on the graphic when he's not a midfielder. So that already creates something.
Number 8, not number 2.
Yeah, number 8, number 2. Also, the thing that you said about experimenting in a tournament. I mean, like, it's one. You think about what you want about playing Trent where he plays. It's probably the first time that 11 have played together ever in the first game, and he's played them in the first 2 games. So that to me is just bad management. It's like, what's the point in them warm-up games? It just feels like stupid management all around. And the scapegoat thing, I think, is taking him off at 60 on both games, because he knows that's going to create headlines. Certainly the second one. The first one, fair enough, you don't think it's working, but do what you need to do. The second game, I watched the game, I thought Trent was fine. I don't think he was the issue. I think the issue was that, you know, they weren't pressing enough, they weren't front foot enough, they were getting done tactically.
They looked knackered is what they looked. They looked knackered.
Yeah, and look, there's loads of graphics going around. Most chances created was by Trent in the whole game, and listen, that's 3, so that's how low the bar is. Do you know what I mean? But I just feel like it's putting him in a situation where, like, he won't play him the next game, so he's not going to play him. He's now going to come on in a game where the stakes are probably going to be higher and they're going to expect more of him. I just feel like the whole thing's been mismanaged, like right back to the point of, as I say, playing at the first 11 in a seat for the first time in a major tournament, and then it all being about Trent. Or what about all the other players? Like, he hooked 3 other players yesterday, the front 3, but the talk's all about Trent. And that shows you that like the obsession people have got with Liverpool and the obsession they've got about this thing.
But as you say, when he does it, he doesn't do it at the hour, he does it at 57 or whenever it is he does it. You know, he must know that's what the talk's going to be.
Yeah.
And then for him to come out, and I want to be clear here, I respect the footballer I'm about to name. I actually think he's had really hard lines, he's been badly advised, he's made the wrong transfer at the wrong time. He had a great manager when he was at Leeds. But to say we're missing Calvin Phillips in the context of that, and as I say, I respect the player, I really do, and I actually think he's had a really tough trot, and he's clearly found it difficult at his next move. But to throw that sort of thing out there, to your point on the headlines, football managers understand headlines. We had a previous manager who used to say in press conferences, I know you're going to try and make headlines out of this, he's on the front of that there. Yeah. They're not daft, are they? You know, and I'm just looking at this going, stop doing this to our football, stop doing this to our lads if you don't mind. Because you've been doing it to them for 3 or 4 years now. Yeah,
well as I say, put them as a midfielder in every squad creates headlines, but we were joking before that Calvin Phillips thing's like saying, Klopp saying, oh I miss Mascherano, wish you had Mascherano, and it's like, you never had them, so like, I know Calvin Phillips played for a bit for England, but it's just daft, and it just, for me, again, the whole thing feels mismanaged, and listen, I'm not as anti-England as maybe you are, Damian, but I'm certainly not pro-England, and like I did find myself towards the end of the game like wanting Denmark to score just because again the Trent thing just adds that edge to it. You think, do you know what, I can't be bothered with this is stupid.
The better example is, it's the idea of, and I could never imagine Jurgen Klopp doing this, struggling a little bit to hold the ball up there today, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, I took Luis Diaz off because he's no Sadio Mane. And Sadio Mane, by the way, is a better player than Calvin Phillips. Yeah. And Luis Diaz is sadly, in comparison, not to Sadio Mane, what Trent Alexander-Arnold is for talent. In comparison to Calvin Phillips, we all wish he was. But it is that equivalent, Kev, it's the equivalent to basically going, we've had some great players in the past, at the minute, I'm having to put up with this. I genuinely couldn't believe it when I read that, because I just thought the one thing that the Southgate thing's meant to be is that it's inclusive and it keeps everyone involved and everyone feels good about it. Apart from at the moment a bit of pressure comes on, at which point he throws the lad from Liverpool who he's been making a show of for an extended period of time under the bus.
Well, I can name another England manager that sounds very much like he managed Liverpool as well. It's just like a younger version of Hodgson, isn't it? Now when it's going well, it's all we and us and I. When it's not going quite so well, come here, Trent, on 57 minutes, it's all you. No. And we were saying off mic there, I think that's Southgate's MO. I think he's got the job because the FA are like an antiquated, it's such a mad organisation run to such silly standards.
In really weird ways.
Yeah, just ridiculous, the
way they want responsibility for nothing. What they want to seem as though they've got the authority over everything.
They want responsibility for nothing, but they want everything done in this exact way. And it's the only way in the world that's to be done. Because everywhere else is you going, okay, well we need to be a little bit transient with this. This might need to move and that might need to move. But whatever it is, there's the greater good. The greater good for the FA seems to be keeping some sort of moral high ground that doesn't exist at the moment, and I'm not sure ever did really exist anyway. And I think that's why the manager they've got, I think they love him. I think
it's echoes of the old school type thing, which is what he was. You know, the number of managers over time that England refused to appoint, which would have made them easy better, but they weren't yes men, and for that reason they didn't get the job. And for that reason, England have seriously underachieved. I mean, you know, I don't want the English team to win, but I do get the merits of international football, and happen to think that the Premier League should really facilitate the English team, you know, and run it so the players aren't knackered and running to the floor by the time they get to summer. But also,
as another manager said.
But then so even though it's factually correct and people watching it can see it, it doesn't fit the narrative. So then it's the manager, this manager then, you know, self-pity this and, you know, cry on that and whatever have you. I mean, the internationals can be positive for your players. I mean, if you look at Curtis and Little Harvey in the more junior tournaments, they came back with a real spring in the step, and that gave them confidence about what they could achieve. You know, and if you look at, like, obviously Michael Owen's no one's favourite at this table, but if you look at from a young age, the fact that Liverpool were facilitating England can as much as anybody else, and he takes the confidence and on and on and on, it can certainly be a good thing.
Sadio, after he won AFCON himself, he won AFCON, he scored that penalty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It felt like it was great. It got him through his last 3 or 4 months at Liverpool, I'd argue.
Yeah,
and then he went off a bit of a cliff by the time he got to Bayern, but it felt like that gave him it gave him that boost all the way through.
So it's to be respected, the international football, but you know, it's not just like saying Luis Diaz is no Sadio Mane. This artist is no bricklayer. When they're supposed to be the beautiful game, and it will be the reason, again, England don't underachieve. They never underachieve, they get as far as they can. They just underachieve in this consciousness of what they're supposed to be. And until they get their heads around that, I mean, you know, you look at Trent, he's getting lambasted in the English League, and there's Liverpool fans who don't think he's a good right back. Right, now we've all got, you know, interesting opinions, and I get that there's difference in things, but this lad could be chased abroad by the fact that he'd be much more appreciated playing for Real Barcelona or something like that. No, it's there.
I didn't want anyone to say it on a show, though. I'm terrified of it.
It's there, we're all terrified of it. And I don't, but the fact he's, hopefully he's the ultimate homeboy.
They say you can't defend. Liverpool at the start, before, put everything else to one side, I'll just give you 27 league games where Liverpool won 26 of the fucking things, and he was playing right back. No one's ever started the season that well, and he was playing right back, and Liverpool won 26 out of 27 games. Now, you can argue, and you have done, and I'm fine with it, or he might be better served somewhere else at this point in his career.
That's a fair argument.
That's a fair argument. Yeah. But when he played right back, he won 20, Liverpool won 20, and he didn't play anywhere else in any of those games, and we weren't even inverting the full back. He played like a fucking attacking right back, and Liverpool won 26 out of 27 league games at the start of the season.
And he's exposed to, because of the nature of the way that he plays and in the system that he plays it. I understand, if a goalie makes one error, everyone really remembers it, not the boss saves that they make. And Trent's kind of in the same parallel as that, because Liverpool have made a decision to have Mo Salah the furthest one up the pitch. So Robbo gets Sadio in front of him, and you've got this talent here, and he sort of say, well, okay, we might be exposed to conceding 2 more goals than the best right back for our direct rivals, but we'll get 12 more assists and 4 more goals, and the point trade-off is there, so you've got to take that with this. And for some reason, there's it's too slow in the psyche that people can go with that and concentrate on what you can do and what clearly outweighs what he can't do.
It's, as I say, the chased off point, I'm not so much concerned about the chased off point, but what I am concerned about is it just becomes a tough trough for him unnecessarily. So whatever happens from here now, to your point, for instance, England's easiest game theoretically could well be the last one. He might now not play in that, then he doesn't get involved all the way through. If he does get involved, to your point, in the knockout rounds, there's a fair chance there's tension on it. Fucking hell, he might end up taking a fucking penalty, if you know what I mean. And there's every chance he just slots because he's got unbelievable technique. But suddenly he knows.
That makes me feel sick, because I want every England player ever to miss a penalty, but I think I'd want sense to.
I'd want him to score.
It makes me feel dirty.
I'd want him to score because he'll be walking up there knowing, and this is the point, this is what they do to them. I think other countries do this at times to certain players, but the regularity with which I end up thinking, why is it always ours, is the bit that drives me mad, and that's where I am with this now. And as I say, I think this has been in his head for longer than just the last few weeks. I think this has been in his head now for 3 or 4 years, because the way this manager is, and also in one way, the slightest way I'll be fair to the manager is, he's had a lot of good right backs. So I understand why there's been a conversation, but fuck that off and stop being an absolute bastard to our player, please.
Well, the issue is the management of it, though, because you think about it, if you want to put Trent in midfield, fine. There's loads of Liverpool fans who want Trent in midfield, and that's a fair thing to do. The way it's been managed, where Gareth Southgate sort of owned it as his thing, he's going to call him midfielder, give him the number 8 as we've just touched on before, but then not play him in a first 11 England team until the first group game of a tournament, where he's got no runners really, because they're all sort of playing back.
They all love coming short, don't they? Apart from Saka, they all love. You watched it, these didn't watch it, which I'm fine. I watched the second half, and he loves coming. They all love coming feet.
Exactly.
It's one of you. Someone's got to go that way. That's the way it works.
They all love coming feet, but a lot of them all play like high press football with the clubs, but then they're not playing it with England because they're all sort of want to come back. So
he's doing a number on Foden as well, by the way. He's doing a number on Foden as well.
So it just feels bizarre, that the whole thing, and again, the scapegoat thing about taking him off and not owning it as this thing. If you're going to create this thing where Trent, it's your decision to put Trent right back, then own it in a positive way and protect the player. Don't let him be the fall guy when it doesn't go to plan or things aren't going to plan, because it's an easy out. Trent's on the midfield. They will just.
There's a nuance to an international football, and you've got to. Kevin Shaun, they're about having the bollocks to make a decision. Okay, so football's a team game. It's about the system, and the system comes first, and then your players come back after it. So you either make your minds up that Trent doesn't work as a right back because there's better right backs that fit this particular system, and there's an argument for that, of course, and he's not as good as certain midfielders in that system. Don't shoehorn him into it, and so he goes sub, or he becomes an option off the bench and whatever have you. Jackie Charlton never played Liam Brady, right? The best player Ireland possibly ever had. He didn't get picked because the system didn't fit it, right? David O'Leary couldn't get a game in the same team, and he was probably the best centre back that they had at the time. But the system worked, and it was this way. So either you make that decision, and you have the courage to make that decision and call them bench options, and have the confidence to say to everybody, I know he's boss, but this is the way we play. Or you say, this is a generational talent, and no one else in the 11 is going to be able to do this. So I'm going to pick him in the best position, right, which might be slightly behind midfield. I liked him when he used to, when he, this hybrid thing, I didn't like him when he was stepping into the middle, but he did it at Villa at home when he was just stepping across the centre half and throwing it round, and it was much more. So say for example, he picked
like
that.
Three, didn't it? And he split them. And
Exactly. So the nuance there, and with Foden as well, talking about that sort of thing. So you'd either say, this lad and this lad can do things that we haven't got anybody else in the squad who could do, and now we're going to build the system around it. But if that doesn't work, but this is in between two stools, and that's why it's always destined to fall over.
Eight to carry the piano, 3 to play it.
Indeed.
The England problem is they all think they're playing the piano and none of the pricks are carrying it. They're all too good to carry pianos, these boys. That's the way in which it works. These aren't too good to carry pianos. They carry them everywhere, all over the place. We'll be back in a second or two.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
Back at Nova Scotia with Erdinger, an absolute pleasure. And there's good news for once, Kev. Liverpool have put this pre-season friendly on the Sunday before the first game at Anfield. And, you know, we're quick to complain. When I say we, I obviously mean you.
Yeah.
And it's worth saying that there's the opportunity for children to get to go to Anfield for £2. I think that is, if there's ever a time to doff your cap to the club, and there's been reasons not to around tickets in the very, very recent past, but in this instance, there's a reason to say, well, in Liverpool.
Go on, I'll give them this one.
Through your gritted teeth,
that's
Kevin.
all they're getting.
Like Bob Carroll seems to spit it off.
That's all they're getting out of me, mate.
Not even getting £2.
I'm not taking the kids, I'll tell you that.
How are the worst men in the world? Don't you think the Anfield Wrap? Imagine it in Liverpool's PR team right now. Well, the worst men in the world have chimed in.
Nah, fair play to them. It's obviously getting a pre-season game at Anfield obviously helps any proposed new signings, which obviously, if you should get your fingers out on that and get us a decent midfielder, I'd be alright with it. There's me piece on that. But it's boss for people who probably can't normally go. We're all very lucky to be able to go to all the games, aren't we? Very lucky to be able to take our kids well, I can, and I know Cav does as well. So it's nice to have that option because we can go to every game. So for this one, there's probably fellas out there going, yes, I'll be able to go to the match with my lad here. And it might not be a competitive game, but you put the kids in the ground and they don't care, do they? They just love the experience, the sensory nature of it, the walking up and seeing the pitch, the noise and all that. So hopefully it'll be a boss day, and obviously to say they were at Slot's first game as well. It's something that kids will be absolutely delighted to see.
Also, Kevin, I mean this very, very sincerely. Mothers can take the daughters.
There you go, of course,
across the board, and it can work that way. But that is the thing. I think Damian, I'll go, and the reason why I'll go, the main reason why I'll go, and this will sound awful, and I don't want to sound like a prick, is because I'll talk about it on the Anfield Wrap afterwards. We'll want to do some stuff around it. So, but that's the main reason why I'll go. If it wasn't for that, in the same way that I didn't really have an interest in going to Klopp's thing at the Echo, was because I wanted other people to get a turn. I've been lucky enough to interview him, for God's sake. I can well understand, and this is what happens at Liverpool. There'll be a lot of season ticket holders who will look at that and go, you know what, I'll give that one a pass. Let's let someone else have a turn. And I think that you've got to know how lucky you are at times, but the idea that people will get to take children, I think, is so important.
Yeah, so the Premier League's average age attendance of the fans gets older year by year. Yeah. It's something that it's fingers in the ears, isn't it? The leagues don't want to sort it out. You just want the money. There should be some kind of way of encouraging. There should be some kind of, like, you've got to have so many fans of a certain age and whatever have you. The clubs aren't interested. So this is great. My first game was Emily News testimonial. That was a non-game, and that was like unbelievable. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was fantastic, and so we got beat 1-0 by Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Who gets beaten? I was
going to say, that's not very testimonial, is it?
Did they turn up with a real agenda?
Mönchengladbach were clearly holding a grudge from 18 months earlier. Right.
Borussia Mönchengladbach turned up with an absolute crack team determined to keep a clean sheet. Fuck off, Emlyn.
It just shows you, it proves, doesn't it? Do you know what else they did? Do you know what else they did as well? Because the club, I'm massive out there, the Club World Championship, and always have. And we didn't go in it in 77 or 78. And it'd been an historic, really bad, bad violence on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And really bad stuff. And so it was boycotted by the European teams for a long time. But I was always like, that's 2 more stars, 2 more notches on the bedpost there for us. And it would have been against Boca Juniors. So imagine having, their name on our bedpost twice. Do you know what I mean? That would have been fantastic and all that. So Borussia Mönchengladbach went in it in our place. Fuck off. Drew at home and then beat Boca Juniors away. I mean, so I obviously support Borussia Mönchengladbach. A lot's just gone on for a minute. I don't know. The things you end up talking about, you forgot you knew. But going back to the actual question, and I appreciate it's the general election at the moment, so no one's supposed to. But getting the kids in is massive. I certainly, in our gang, we try and help out our youngsters, the lads who are coming through, help them with the credits transfer, around, making sure they try and get in. And I think the club should be applauded for doing this. And the price is something that should be with regard to the top price for the adults. But the kids thing, get them in. And Liverpool being such a worldwide club, people just do not get an opportunity to go. I'd like to see some kind of, if you've got a history of, you went in the ballot 19 times last year and computer said nil. The club was sending you an email and saying, listen, that one's on us. Now that would really, and even Kevin might like that. Do you know what I mean? He said the ticket's complimentary. Do you know what I mean? Here's your membership fee back. Or something like that. I mean, obviously, so I'm really being spoiled now talking about that. But a good thing. And I won't be going it. Certainly, back in the day, home friendlies was never a thing, which was a legacy from the Shankly era. Getting in for the home friendly would have been a doddle. It's not like that now. There's loads of people. So sun's shining. And then and a good start, a good pick of opposition, really. You say it's a European name, but we should win. Do you know what I mean? So there's a few things.
They'll be a week behind us on the pre-season. I think to me the £2 thing, Shaun, I do want to sort of dwell on it. If it had been 9, we'd probably be saying quite similar things. It's worth saying that, so they don't even have to go to where they've gone to for that. And I think again, I think that's good. I just also think in general the idea that almost that slot just gets to go. He doesn't have his first time out at Anfield doesn't have to be what will be stuff riding on it for Brentford. There might be 1 or 2 signings by then as well. They get to have a bit of a go. I think that's no bad thing either. And I also just think there's a bit of an argument these days, and this is unbelievably boring, and admin on air. But as someone who puts events on, no. That was just that was gold. That was gold. We're clipping that. I think there is something to, as someone who puts events on, there is actually just something to be said for the fact that ground now, it's a massive operation. You turn it off to turn it back on again, giving it a warm-up go. Forget the players, in a way, giving everything a warm-up go. I mean, God knows what they've done to the turnstiles by the next time we get in. There might be a code. But you know what I mean? You've got to...
I think £2 because you won't be able to get in.
I think warming that back up's no bad thing as well. I think it's all only good.
Yeah, I mean, it's become a bit of a tradition now, the Anfield friendly beforehand. And I was going to go, but I feel incredibly guilty now, so I'm not going to go. You go, mate. There's no judgments. You have a great time. But no, I think, the other thing they've got to be you've got to tip your hat to them for is it is Slot's first game, so they didn't have to do this because there will be demand for this, and there'll be demand anyway. But probably the reason I was thinking I might go is because it's Slot's first game. So like, if you'll have people thinking like that, thinking, I wouldn't mind seeing this. You wouldn't mind just paying normal prices. So the fact they've done this, the fact that, I had to double check, I had to fact check that it actually was £2 because it feels so low. It's incredible, as you say, £9 would have been incredibly low, £10 would have been incredibly low. So the fact they've done this is obviously sort of something they want to try and do to give back. And it'll be great to see the ground full of kids. I always enjoy when the atmosphere's got that higher pitch to it. Because it's just like, it's full of like the right type of people. And hopefully, that's what we need. Damian touched on it before. The average age of attendance is just going up and up and up. And we've all done the moaning thing about atmosphere. We've all done the thing about, are we going to give people a try? Well, this is definitely giving people a try, and it's definitely going to get kids in. And if this is the only game like a kid from, or a little kid from wherever can go to this game, and it gives them something to really sort of work towards and build up and be a Liverpool fan from whether they live here, whether they live wherever they live, then that can only be a good thing.
Yeah. The important thing further, I've actually nailed this, by the way. I'm not messing around. I was absolutely desperate for this pint. I'm going to say thank you to these three right now. What Shaun needs to bear in mind is what he should maybe think of is whether or not he wants to do a young boss event beforehand.
There you
At
go.
which point it justifies you going, mate. Absolutely. Like, you know what I mean? You've got to think these things through. That's how you'll sign it off to yourself. Well, we put that event on.
I'll take the kids to boss, mate.
There you are. There we are. Everyone's getting out the house. What a
That's an
Sunday
approval.
What a thing of approval. Damian Kavanagh is ever an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Kev Walsh. It's been Shaun O'Donnell from Boss. Watch out for that event. We've just sorted it out right now. Erdinger, Nova Scotia. Ash has been the business. See you later on.